Hello everybody, this is Travis. Welcome to Tpull's Corner, and welcome to the deck we call Gambit 13. This is an older deck, and what was going on is my last video, just before my return here, I had went ahead and gone back to the Innistrad decks because Wizards of the Coast has delayed the standard rotation. Oh, and this is the other half of the deck. This is why it's called Gambit 13, because of Triska Deckfile. If we get exactly 13 cards in our hand, we win the game. So anyway, what happened basically, long story short, is I got sick. I was away for a couple of weeks. I am back finally, getting into the swing of things again. And I think, I'm not sure when this will be published, but probably close to Christmas time, so I will wish you all a Merry Christmas right now, because by the time it's out, it'll be like the day of or the day before or something like that. And I wonder if Arena found me a mirror match, because this is Innistrad as well. It's kind of the same area. I think we just pass. Vadric is going to get more powerful, and the spells for instants and sorceries are going to become cheaper. But I'm hoping that means they cast something that normally casts 4, and we can make good on our Disdainful Stroke right now. I'm hoping they're greedy. I'm not necessarily greedy, I'm hoping that they are trying for maximum efficiency and getting the maximum spell per turn by using all of their mana. And pass to attack. I'm not blocking that. Oh, actually I am. I'm going to block that. Because you didn't do nothing. Man, they spend a lot of time thinking, here, let's draw 3 cards. And I think we can get rid of the mountain. That's fine. Alright. We do this. It's already nighttime, so pass. I feel like they have counter spells. I feel like they have removal. I feel like they have maybe a bounce spell. I feel like they have all this stuff already. So anyway, before I got sick, I had put out a deck called Warded Humans, and that was going back to only using the 2 Innistrad decks, which are the oldest decks that we have in the current standard. And it held up pretty well, at least on my initial run-in while I was taping the video. I think I ran into a really bad stretch where I got creamed 3 or 4 matches in a row afterwards, and I started to rethink it. But it was basically having 2 concepts. One is that it was almost all entirely creatures with or cards with the ward ability, the ward mechanic. And that was fun. It was a fun deck. And but also, I wanted to see what happens if you take, again? If you take decks that, you know, they hadn't planned to be around this long, and the new expansions, Ixalan and Eldraine and so forth, they were designed without originally the idea of Innistrad being around. See, I feel like more blue is a safe thing to do, and we're still playing a waiting game here. I've got 2 different counter spells now. They might have enough to cast a spell and do a counter spell at this point. G2 Amplifier. Did they kick that? They did. So it's not Disdainful Stroke because the kicker doesn't count on the mana value, but I can just use Devious Cover-Up. And we'll go ahead and take back our Thirst for Discovery. And if they have a removal card, that's okay here. Or a counterspell. No, they let that go. We're going to take action. We'll go get our draw card back. See, I knew you could do something. I know you can do something else. I'm all tapped out. Even something simple as a strangle spell will do 3 points and get rid of Trisky. And they do nothing. Okay, I was hoping for land, but I put a curse on you, I put a curse on you, and now you're mine. Here, you're going to flip back to day, so we're just going to get rid of that before it pumps up to a 3/4. We get to scry, right? A thirst for discovery. I'm going to say no to that because I'm going to put down a curse of surveillance next turn. More likely than not. And we're going to run in and attack. Haha! First blood is ours. Okay, it's daytime. I'm all tapped out. I'm at your mercy. You have a full hand of cards. And I'm missing a land drop. But we have 2 curses on them now. So, whenever they cast a second spell, doesn't matter if it's on my turn or their turn, they're going to take 4 points of damage, 2 per enchantment, 2 per curse. So you kind of got a clock on you. You can do 1 spell a turn, or you can do a second spell and take the damage. They don't take the damage. Still not getting land. Okay, so hopefully they don't have a counterspell at this point. They haven't used one yet, so this is the perfect place for them to do so. But this keeps us from flipping over to nighttime and boosting up Vadric at least. And now we should have no problem getting our land from now on. Curse of Surveillance, they have 3 curses on them now, so a lot of people are just used to using 1 Curse of Surveillance, and every time that the enchanted person with the curse draws a card, we get to draw a card. We've already got 2 other previous curses on them, so it's cumulative. So it's equal to the number of curses attached to that player. I gave them 3 curses, I'm going to get to draw 3 cards every turn. Now it becomes pretty important for me to protect Triskaidekaphile, because Triskaidekaphile means I have no maximum hand size. That also means I can get to 13 cards in my hand in the alternate win scenario pretty quickly. Again, if we survive. Six cards and you're not casting anything. What is in your hand? These are the times when I want, at the end of a battle, I want to just have both of our hands revealed so each opponent can see what was the other one's hand, so we can get an idea as to deck construction, stuff like that, in case we like their deck, or just in case we're wondering what their thinking process was. And I would be willing to make it like a little nodule that each player can, you know, both of them have to agree to touch it in order for it to happen, that kind of thing. Alright, the curses went and got us all the land we need now, right? Pass the turn. We choose ourselves, we draw 3 more cards. That's up to 10. We've still got our Disdainful Stroke. And we also have our Fading Hope that we can bring Trisky back up if we need to. Alright, beginning of upkeep, so before the draw phase. We're at 10 cards. Essence Scatter. What in the world is going... What kind of deck does this person have that they're putting a Haughty Djinn out without having a counterspell ready to let it survive? And at this point, they can cast a second spell, but maybe they don't want to take the damage. Damage doesn't matter anymore. I'm not sure if they realize it or not. I don't care about damage. I'm not going to swing in and hit with Trisky again. We're just going to get 13 cards. There's the second spell. They're taking 4 damage now. But it's after they attack, so they get the draw spell, but not the advantage of the hit. Did you get a zapper? Did you get a lightning bolt? Did you get something finally? Waltz is correct. They're playing blue. They're going to take their time on this. They're thinking a lot. Okay, it is my turn. Another curse. How many? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. Here's the problem. If I use Alchemist Gambit now to take the extra turn, I'm going to be tapped out. So, I need to keep the Fading Hope in case they try and zap me. So, we draw more cards during their turn, so we don't have to worry about discard anyway. But we are at 12. And we have a Memory Deluge, too. Nice. We also have a backup Triska deck file now. Ancestral Anger. Okay. That's one spell. Think about it. Think about it. You take 4 points of damage. Is it worth it? Too bad Witness the Future is a sorcery, but Memory Deluge is an instant anyway. And part of the reason why I wanted to not just go pull out this old deck, just because I'd had that theme recently. Ooh. Let's do Disdainful Stroke. We will stop Urabrask from coming out. They'll still take 4 points of damage. That's what I call a win-win. Yikes! So, you know, I have about 100 decks, and I need to get rid of one anyway. So this one's an older one. No blocks. Let them hit me, because we just don't care. Life is just a number. What do we want? Essence Scatter and another Trisky. Okay, so we have 12. There goes 13 there. 5, 6, 7, 8. Bingo. Alchemist Gambit. Take another turn. They let me take another turn. Sweet. Okay. Let's see. I can only get one with that. I usually get a draw spells right about now. Okay, so we're going to do one more turn? No, I don't want to do that one. Hang on. Hang on. I'm trying to get the land right. You know what? Let's go ahead and take another turn. We've got enough of them. All I need is like a silver scrutiny. Or one of my draw threes. That, ooh! That one's kind of fun. No attacks. Draw some more cards. Bingo. 13, the magic number. Do I bother with the Fading Hope if they get rid of Trisky? I've got 2 more. How many cards do I have left in my deck? 23? I'm not going to deck myself yet. This is only our first match, isn't it? I don't know how many more matches we'll be able to squeeze in if this is how they're all going to go. I do have a poll. I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago before I got sick. I try and mention it up to the new year. If you go to the community page where I put a post, it's asking basically, do you want me to do what I normally do and introduce the deck with a match at the beginning of each video? And then I go into the deck tech. Or if you want, you can vote and have me do the deck tech first, because I do know there are a lot of people that prefer that. But I usually do the intro with actually a match first. But I'm willing to do whatever democracy votes. So the poll is up there for you to vote either way. And if you... Oh, you're not going to do anything else? That's going to be a win. My turn? Good game. We win with 13. I really want to know what these 5 cards were. Were they just a bunch of single, small mana type stuff? Because look, this is 1 mana, 1 mana. Everything's based around reducing the cost, right? Instants and sorceries go lower. Here, instants and sorceries cost less. I've done a deck similar to this without Urbrask, but... and maybe they just felt that they couldn't do as much as they wanted to because they were going to take 4 more points of damage every turn. But this is it, basically. Yeah, we got to where we can play the Alchemist Gambit whenever we feel like, take the extra turns whenever we want, and whether it's just spending 4 mana with Triska Decafile to draw a card, or, stalling until we get the 13 with these curses all in place. We've got a couple of those. I'll go in and show you the full deck now. But as I said, go ahead and it's a very close vote. Last I saw was basically tied. There's options there in case you don't care at all, or a place for the voters to hate. But go ahead and take your chance to vote. And then with the beginning of the new year, whatever y'all voted is what I'll adhere to. And if the majority say, hey, we'd actually prefer to see the deck tech first, then I'll do the deck tech first. If I can get organized enough and sort of get back on track and get some videos in the can and produced, I can start doing that thing that I used to do at the very beginning, where I'll just put the time code where the deck tech starts anyway, and that'll make it easier for everybody. And sorry, that was the last video. In case you missed it, I did Demon Treasure when I came back from being sick. But we want to go, let's just go search here with red and blue, because this is an old deck, and I thought I would made a video and I realized I never did. Gambit 13. I need to clear up space for the new year, so I need to get rid of something. So here's what we've got. We've got one of an offer you can't refuse, counter target non-creature spell. The controller gets to create 2 treasure tokens. We've got 2 Fading Hopes to bounce, either save our Triska Decaphile or get rid of somebody really ferocious. 1 Syncopate, 1 Disdainful Stroke, 1, 2, 3 Essence Scatters. They just have the different artwork. And I don't mind having different artwork for my spells, so I kind of like all of the art. I'm a sucker for the art. Wizards of the Coast, no matter what things they do that are wrong, no matter what missteps they do, even when they do things that make absolutely no sense, like when the head of Hasbro starts firing people from Wizards when Wizards are the ones who are responsible for all the profits lately in their company. One thing that they've never really messed up on is beautiful artwork by awesome artists. And it's just really phenomenal to see all this type of stuff. So I don't even mind variant art for the same card. 4 copies of Triska Decaphile, because that's part of the win condition that I'm going for this time. You have no maximum hand size, and you just got to sort of keep track of where you're at with your card draw. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you have exactly 13 cards in your hand, you win the game. And this is because it's part of the Innistrad expansion, and that's why 13, because of course 13 is an unlucky number, right? So they did a 13 theme in the Innistrad, in both of the Innistrad expansions, I believe. And I've actually, if you dig back through my old stuff, I took a lot of the 13 cards and put them all together into a 13 tribal deck and tried to see how they worked out. That was kind of fun. We've got a couple of curses, 2 copies of Curse of Shaken Faith that you saw me play. I've got 1 Silver Scrutiny that we can use to draw a lot of cards. 1 Thirst for Discovery. You just discard 2 cards unless you discard a basic land card. 1 Witness the Future. You can shuffle up the 4 target cards from your graveyard into your library, and then you look at the top 4 cards of your library and you choose the one you want to keep. 1 Dissipate, counter target spell. 3 of the Alchemist Gambit, and I think I have 4. Yes, I do have 4 copies, but I think I decided that 4 was overkill. 2 copies of Devious Cover-Up, 2 copies of Memory Deluge, and 1 Undercover Operative. Maybe I want to copy a Trisky, maybe I want to copy something impressive that the opponent has. 3 Curses of Surveillance, and 1 that's kind of the same, right? It's a little bit different, but it is similar. It costs 5. This is Wiretapping from Streets of New Capenna. So there are a few. Let's go ahead and look real quick. This isn't quite... well, let me get back to that real quick. Let me finish the cards before I forget. Wiretapping, Hideaway 5. Whenever you draw your first card during each of your draw steps, you draw another card. When you have 9 or more cards in your hand, you can play the exiled card without paying its mana cost. So the Hideaway, I look at the top 5 cards of the library, I get some Primo card that I want, stick it under the enchantment, and then I keep drawing an extra card. So whenever you draw your first card during each of your draw steps, you only get the 1 draw step normally per turn, right? So you're only looking, basically, you're going to draw 2 cards per turn. Once you get to still where you, if you don't spend them all, if you don't cast all your stuff, once you have 9 cards in hand, or if you draw, if you're at 8 and you draw 2, then that's why it says 9 or more, because you might skip over the 9. You might not hit it on the dot. So thankfully, they didn't make it that specific. So it's 9 or more cards in your hand. Then you get to play whatever's exiled under the Hideaway rule. But similar to Curse of Surveillance, with draw cards in, it's a 5-cost enchantment. We have 3 copies of Behold the Unspeakable. This is sort of to hold off all the little onesies, twosies that people try and send after me all the time. On Chapter 2, usually I have a hard time emptying my entire hand when I play this. So Chapter 2, I almost never draw 4 cards. I'm almost always scrying 2 and then drawing 2. Then you get a Vision of the Unspeakable. You see to the right, gets +1/+1 for each card in your hand. And Invoke the Winds that you just saw me use to snatch away their Vadric, gain control of target artifact or creature, and 2 of the board wipes for Burn Down the House. So you can see that I don't have much in the way of straight removal. I've got a couple of Burn Down the Houses, and I guess you could say I get up to a little bit. Some of these are not countering non-creature spells, so that doesn't necessarily count as removal. But I've got 3 of the Essence Scatters, a Disdainful Stroke. That could be a creature, right? We did that. Could use Syncopate, Dissipate, the 2 Devious Cover-Ups, and then you count in the Burn Down the House. That's still only 10 cards that have that kind of interaction in terms of removal. So it's still kind of low on interaction for, you know, the current environment, I think. But the reason why I was starting to look at the expansion symbols is because when I did the Warded Humans deck a couple weeks ago, I was doing the two things. One was Ward Tribal, the other was, hey, let's use the old expansions because I want to see how they work against things that they weren't really planning for originally when they designed the earlier expansions, the earlier sets. They weren't planning to have them still around. They made that decision later. And Eldraine was already in the pipeline being worked on for I don't know how long, probably longer than a year. Ixalan, same thing. They were already working on that for probably more than a year when the decision was made that, oh, hey, we're actually going to halt the standard rotation and keep these cards around an extra year. So it's very fun for me to do two things. To go in, look at some of these older cards and match them up with the newest expansions and see what kind of combinations that maybe weren't necessarily designed for because there was this decision that was made that altered the formula in the middle of things. And the other thing I like to do is to take these old cards that nobody's playing with right now for the most part, right? I mean, when's the last time you actually came up against Alchemist Gambit? And I don't come up against Triska Deckfile anymore either for some reason. In the meantime, with the new cards that are out with Ixalan, like the caves that prevent you from countering summon spells, I think my impression is that counterspell decks are on the wane. So I'm going against the current environment. I want to test things out and see how the environment treats this kind of deck. It's a fun experiment for me, and hopefully you enjoy it too. But hopefully there's no questions there on what we're trying to do. I am going to go in and do one more battle. If we just get whomped in 3 or 4 turns or we land starve, we might have time for a third. We'll see how we do. So yes, as always, remember, like and subscribe. I probably should have mulliganed on this. Getting out 2 Triska deck files up front is generally not the best thing. Because for starters, they're easy to remove. So they make poor blockers. And I don't have a lot of creatures. Because I can't even block. Let's go ahead and go get another island so we can power up the Memory Deluge. And we pass the turn. I don't think we need to put out the second Triska deck file. Okay, Alchemist Gambit is just a little too pricey for me now, so we just sacrifice that. We're going to have to let them go after that. I think let's go ahead and do Undercover Operative against the Tainted Adversary. And just so we don't get suspicious, let's go ahead and ping them when we can. I'm expecting them to use removal. And that way they'll get this creature out. Lazatap Convert. See, that becomes a 4/4. So if they get my Undercover Operative, they could get like a 4/4 Death Touch with the shield counter, right? They're not going for this battle. Maybe they're not impressed with what they have in their own. Okay, let's just go get some card draw. And no attacks. And this way we get to draw 2 cards a turn and we don't lose a life like we do with Phyrexian Arena. So if we survive long enough, that extra card draw per turn should be enough to get us where we want to be. Ugh. Let's lose the Memory Deluge because I just lost another Triska deck file. I'm running low on Triskies. And they may be trying to mill their own deck so they can do this Runo Stromkirk combo. They're finally going after the battle. Bring back the convert. Copy anything. Okay, copy Stromkirk. And do they have anything they want to put on top of the library? They do. They want to go for the small one. Okay. Let's put this down. We will behold the unspeakable. Get everybody down a couple. Pass the turn. We're going to fill our hand again. That's what we wanted. Only one card because we only have one curse on them right now. But now if we're forced to discard, we can't go electricity. Not going after this again. They want to get something else in the graveyard that's worth their while, so they'll just hit me. They're not doing good on the card draw, so I wonder if they already have more expensive stuff. Get rid of Triska. How dare you. Okay, we get scry 2 and draw 2. I'm going to skip the land this time. And who do we want? I think, actually, we'll burn down the house. Now the battlefield is kind of level. And we've got almost the same number of cards in hand. And what do we want to do? We have so many things we could do here. No! Why would you do that? I didn't even do anything! I could take a whole nother turn. I could go for card draw. I could take your creature. I could just bounce your creature. Or I could bring another Trisky out and just protect it with a Fading Hope and go for the 13. I wonder if they knew because they saw the Curse of Surveillance and the Triska Decaphile and they put together my win condition already. And they just figured since I was almost halfway there and they might not be able to kill me, you know, but again, this would be really cool if at the end of a battle we could both flip a switch, you know, just a virtual switch on the side of the board somewhere right by, maybe the pets turn into it. Let's give the pets a use. And the pets come to the center of the stage and you have to both click on them and reveal our hands to each other. I'm kind of curious, why would you quit at this point? I mean, the whole point that you're here on Arena is to find a good match and have fun and to play around. And I'm having fun. And I'm not dead yet. I've held my own. I did one of the 2 board wipes I have in the entire deck just to get rid of, 3-4 creatures and that's it. And they already have somebody else on the ground. This is not all lands. I wonder if they were just land starved because we got up. This is not normally a situation I'm in, but this deck may be configured a little bit differently because I've got so much good card draw in here. I'm at 7. You see, they're still at 4. And we know that they were doing the Runo Stromkirk thing where if you get a creature card with mana value 6 or greater, you can transform Runo. So, maybe they've got a bunch of Tox reels up here and stuff like that. But speculation on my part. It would really be fun to have that feature and see more. But this is starting to happen to me a lot where, it's not like I've attacked. I hit him for 1 point of damage. This guy's mostly here for defense just to hold them off so I can get to the alternate win scenario. And, yeah, I don't know. Aren't you guys here to have fun? Come on, let's finish the matches. Well, I tried, folks. I tried to get nice, exciting matches for you. This is what we ended up with. this is I may end up making an entire video about the different ways that we have to get through a match that aren't fun and exciting. But let me go in and we'll show you the deck one more time. Again, remember to go vote on the poll if you want me to, with the beginning of the new year, to do the tech deck first or do a match first. Triska, Decaphile, and Alchemist Gambit. If you want to have fun, I just kind of combine the concepts. You don't need Alchemist Gambit if you don't have it or you don't like to use it. You could put 3 other cards in. You could actually just, put 2 other cards in because I'm at 61. But I have fun when I have enough mana to use Alchemist Gambit at certain times. Sometimes I'm just stalling for time to survive. Sometimes it gets me into exactly the position I want to be for, maybe I've got the Vision of the Unspeakable out and I can get a couple of good attacks in to actually kill them with damage for a change. Or other times it just gets me to where I have enough free mana because I've got so many lands down that I can draw to 13 for my next upkeep. Silver Scrutiny sometimes can help me win in a single turn if I have enough land down on the board. And you can see how it doesn't really matter what we're coming up against. I'm not sure if Arena's keeping us away from, all the dinosaur decks right now or not. We've got some things that we can stop them with. But again, what about those caves that's, you name the dinosaur and you can't counter that spell for a summon spell? I don't know, but I like this deck. I like blue control. I've stayed away from it for a really long time. And you can see as we were going through, we do have Silver Scrutiny's Dominaria, and I've got a couple of Streets of New Capenna cards in here. Let's see, Undercover Operative is Streets of New Capenna, and Wiretapping is Streets of New Capenna. Kamigawa for Behold the Unspeakable. And then, so Silver Scrutiny is like the only latest card with Dominaria that I had in here. Oh, no, wait. Well, Essence Scatter doesn't count. Essence Scatter is a reprint. We won't count Essence Scatter. Okay, and there, Offer You Can't Refuse is also Streets of New Capenna. So there you have it. All right, so, let me know if anybody else wants to run out a deck like this. If y'all are interested in these types of experiments where we take the older expansions and run them up against the current environment and watch how they rip and tear through the defenses because people aren't expecting it, or if we just get slaughtered ourselves. And if you like to recommend any changes as well. And we will leave it there. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Again, if this hits at just the right time, happy holidays to everybody. I hope you're having a really good time spending it with friends and family and eating entirely too much food. We'll all regret that later and pay for it, right? Thanks everybody. Have a good one.